We'll start with a case that involves a sense that is just really hard to believe. We're talking about Joy Milne, a 74-year-old woman from Perth, Scotland. Her ability first came to light way back in the 1980s when she noticed a change in her husband's scent years before he was actually diagnosed with Parkinson's.
So she could smell it on it.
She could smell it on him, and she described it as...
I'm Joy Milne. I'm the person who smells Parkinson's, or known as the nose to diagnose. Les and I were at school together. I went to do nursing, he went to do medicine. We got married when we were 23. It wasn't until he was 31 that I first smelt the smell.
Wow.
So this wasn't just, a wife's intuition. It was like
right.
something real. And then years later, researchers at Edinburgh University decided to actually test this, and they gave her 12 T-shirts to smell.
Oh, wow.
6 of them had been worn by people with Parkinson's, and 6 had been worn by healthy individuals, and she got 11 out of 12 correct.
Wow.
And here's the really amazing thing. The one that she got wrong, the person who wore that shirt was diagnosed with Parkinson's just 8 months later.
To see whether Joy was right or whether I was right. And the experiment that we did involved recruiting 6 people who had Parkinson's, quite late stage, and 6 people who didn't have Parkinson's, who were also old, and getting them to wear T-shirts and putting them into clear Ziploc bags and taking them to Joy to get her to smell them.
So I had quite a lot of bags with these pieces of T-shirts in them.
And she was 100% correct in identifying the Parkinson's. So right away, we knew she could smell Parkinson's.
So
One
let's
of
switch
the
gears
people
now and talk about someone who claims they never sleep.
Never sleeps.
Yeah, this is Thai Ngoc, an 81-year-old Vietnamese farmer, and he claims that he hasn't slept since 1962.
Since 1962, that's a long time.
That is over 60 years ago.
Wow.
He says that, this all started after he had a fever and just never slept again.
And so what does he do all night? Does he just stay up?
Apparently he works on his farm, just all day and all night, and he drinks green tea and sometimes a little rice wine, but that's it.
Wow, that's wild.
And it's not just him saying this. His family and his friends and his neighbors all confirm that he just never sleeps.
He 80 years old.
80?
Yeah, but he wants to sleep.
He wants to sleep. When is the last time that you slept?
Yeah, he say it's a long time. You don't remember.
It's pretty wild that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and scientists have studied him, and they don't have an explanation.
It's like he's defying.
Think about it. Most people die after about 11 days of no sleep.
Yeah.
And he's been going for decades.
That's crazy.
So what's going on? Is his brain just wired differently? Is he proof that maybe we just don't understand consciousness?
Right. Or the need for sleep. Like what's happening there?
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to a case that involves incredible vision.
Incredible vision. Okay.
We're going to talk about Veronica Sider, a German student from the 1970s, and she had vision that was said to be about 20 times sharper than normal.
20 times? That's insane.
So that means that she could see things from a mile away that most people would have to be 20 feet away to see.
Wow.
It's almost like having a built-in microscope.
Yeah.
And the University of Stuttgart actually tested her vision, and they confirmed that she could identify people from over a mile away.
That's so cool.
Scientists called it supervision, but they have no idea how it was possible.
Right. And this is the only documented case of someone with vision this sharp.
Right. So, it begs the question, was she seeing something that we can't even comprehend?
Right. What was her reality like?
Yeah. So now let's talk about someone who could see without using his eyes.
See, without using his eyes, how is that possible?
Yeah, so this is Ben Underwood, who was born in California in 1992.
Okay.
And he lost his sight to cancer when he was only 3 years old. But he taught himself to see using echolocation.
Echolocation like bat?
Like bats, yeah. He would make clicking sounds with his tongue, and he would listen to the echoes to create a mental map of his surroundings.
I'm incredible.
And he was so good at it, he could play basketball, he could ride a bike, he even went rollerblading.
Wow. So how did he know where things were?
He could tell the difference between a car and a tree from 20 feet away just by the echoes.
That's amazing.
And scientists at Caltech studied his brain, and they found that when he was using echolocation, his visual cortex, the part of the brain that normally processes sight, was active.
Mm-hmm. So it's like his brain rewired itself to
see using sound.
Yeah, to use sound for sight. That's fascinating.
Ben was one of the best at human echolocation. And unfortunately, he passed away from cancer when he was just 16 in 2009. But his story, it just really makes you wonder, what are we capable of?
Right. Was he just adapting, or is this like a sense that we've all forgotten?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Okay, so let's shift gears again and talk about someone who can't feel physical pain or fear.
71-year-old Jo Cameron is her name. She also experiences very little anxiety or fear, and her body appears to heal very quickly. Now, scientists say they know why. It's a mutation in a previously unidentified gene. Elizabeth Palmer is in London with how the potential breakthrough could help millions of people who suffer from chronic and acute pain.
And she didn't even know she had this condition until she was 65 and had hip surgery and just didn't feel any pain.
She didn't feel anything.
Nothing.
Wow.
They gave her a hip replacement and she was smiling and wiggling her hand at the doctor like it was no big deal.
That's wild. So she's never felt pain.
And she's also never felt fear.
Never. That's interesting.
So scientists think this is due to a rare genetic mutation in her FAAH gene, which is involved in, processing pain and stress signals. And her specific mutation is unique.
Oh, wow.
There's no one else like her.
There are many ways people who don't feel pain for various reasons. Mine has nothing to do with nerve endings or nerves. In fact, I'm very, very ticklish. So I've got all the feelings, but I don't get pain.
So, that's kind of like a superpower, right?
In a way, yeah, but it also makes you think about the role of pain and fear in our lives. They are there to protect us.
Yeah.
So what happens when you don't have those signals?
Right. Could she injure herself seriously and not even realize?
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so for our last case, let's talk about an artist with a photographic memory for cities.
Photographic memory for cities. Okay.
This is Stephen Wiltshire, a 50-year-old British artist, and he has autism, and he can draw entire cityscapes from memory after seeing them only once.
Only once. Wow.
Yeah, and in incredible detail.
That's insane.
For example, he once took a 20-minute helicopter ride over New York City, and then he drew a 19-foot-long panorama of the entire city with every building and every window in perfect detail.
Memory, that's incredible.
It's a memory.
Wow.
And he's done this with other cities, too, like Tokyo, Rome, London, all flawlessly from memory.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how do scientists explain this? Is it just like a photographic memory?
Well, they call it photographic memory on steroids, but they don't really know how he does it.
Right. So what is he seeing? Is he seeing the world as it truly is?
Yeah, it's like he has this ability to capture and store visual information in a way that we just can't fathom.
Right.
So as we've seen in these cases with Joy, Ty, Veronica, Benjo, and Stephen Rennie, we're talking about people who are human, but their abilities are just mind-blowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They challenge everything we think we know about human potential.
They really do.
So are they just anomalies, like glitches in the system?
Right. Are they just 1 in a million?
Or is there something more to it, Could they be proof that we are all capable of so much more than we realize?
Right. What if we all have these superpowers locked inside, just waiting to be unleashed?
What if we do and we just don't even know it yet?
That's a pretty wild thought.
It is, yeah, and that's what makes it so creepy. And it makes you think about all those times in your own life when you've experienced something that you just couldn't explain, or when you've felt like you were capable of something extraordinary, even if just for a moment.
Yeah, those moments where you just know there's something more to reality than we can see.
And maybe even more unsettling is that maybe we already have these abilities and we're just not using them.
Exactly.
And that's something to think about.
It really is.
Until next time.